Shaina Low joins us from Amman in Jordan, the communications advisor at the Norwegian Refugee Council. Shaina, first of all, thank you so much for hanging on while we were listening to the foreign ministers of Turkey and Jordan. What's the position as far as the Norwegian Refugee Council is concerned in delivering aid to the north?
We are increasingly concerned about the limited aid that is reaching the north and the dwindling supplies. We ourselves needed to suspend operations on Sunday, delivering water to 10,000 displaced people because of the hostilities in and around the area where we were collecting that water from. We have since located another water point and are actually scaling up the amount of water that we are collecting and preparing because of the increased number of displaced people arriving at the sites that we're supporting in northern Gaza. Aid agencies have had very, very limited access to the north, especially staff coming from the south of 4 attempted missions that NRC attempted to make over the last several weeks. Only one of them was actually able to move forward, and it was delayed for so long that our staff member only had about 90 minutes in northern Gaza before she had to turn around and return home. Yesterday, we did see, I believe, 28 trucks from the WFP enter northern Gaza. This was the first aid to enter the north since the beginning of the month, but it's nowhere near enough. And at the same time we saw aid entering, we saw attacks on the warehouse in Jabalia where aid was being stored, killing 10 people. And so we're seeing that aid agencies, the UN, are still struggling with whatever limited means that they have to be able to provide for people who have basically been cut off for the last several months.
How difficult is it for people to leave northern Gaza? Do you have any idea? Because what many civilians have been saying, and it's been backed up by some kind of video evidence as well, that when they're told to leave, quite often they're attacked. And we believe that there are probably only 50,000 who have heeded the latest evacuation orders, which means hundreds of thousands are still there.
From what I've heard from my colleague on the ground who I spoke to this morning is that very, very few people have actually crossed from the north to the south. I believe that the tens of thousands of displaced people that you just mentioned are actually displaced within northern Gaza and have not been able to leave to the south. People who are in the north have stayed either because they are afraid of what awaits them in the south, knowing that it is not safe there, knowing that there is simply no safe place in Gaza. Some people are quite simply unable to leave because of disability, because they're supporting elderly relatives or other reasons. And those people must be protected under international humanitarian law. They are still civilians and they deserve the protections that civilians anywhere deserve in order to be kept safe and prevented from being killed in the hostilities. What I did hear from my colleague this morning was that only about 100 people have actually crossed from the north to the south because quite simply it is a dangerous and perilous route. And as I mentioned, people are afraid of what awaits them, knowing that the south is not safe and that civilians continue to be targeted and killed there as well.
Shaina, thanks again for hanging on to give us the latest from the NRC's point of view. Really appreciate it.